I spent 2 weeks at Maverick Ranch RV Park in Lajitas, Texas, close to Big Bend National Park. In today's video, I'm going to show you around the park and let you know what I thought of it. Okay, so this is our site. I'm going to walk you around our site so you get an idea. We were actually on the end here. We didn't have any neighbors off on this side. We were right by the path that went to the dog walk. So we had kind of a yard and a half. You see how huge it was. Got that fire pit there. Plenty of room to park our 32-foot Class C and our Jeep. Got that picnic table there. You'll notice there isn't, a lot of grass in our yard area. We are in the desert, although there's a lot of, shrub back here. Check this out. Look at the view we had of the Lajita Rock Formation. And here's just another view of the park. There are a lot of Airstreams there. Okay, so this is the path that leads up to the outdoor lounge that's right outside of the office. Got some reasonable shade there. Ice machine. Give you kind of a view of some of the walking roads here and the front of the park where the office is. And here's the pool. It's pretty nice. And so there's a clubhouse area in the park. This is the internal area where the lounge is. There's a lounge in the front, a lounge in the back. The back lounge was really busy, so I mostly showed you this one. I like this decorative touch with the old car there. These are also where the bathrooms are, which I'll show you in a minute here. Yep, and here's one of the bathrooms. So you got some showers in here. Everything's nice and tidy. That's me. Look, you got the same thing here. Smaller ones. The first one was the accessible one, but the larger one, but they also have these smaller ones. So I'll show you a standard sized one. Very similar to what I just showed you, just smaller. There's one more there. And then one on the end, so there's 4 total. One large accessible one, and then the 3 normal ones. And then there's also 4 more on the men's side. And here's the laundry room. This place was hopping. It took me a couple times to get this. I think there was a big convention of Airstreams or something here. There are a lot of them parked in the middle section, but here you can see that it's $2 to wash, and they take quarters. A couple machines there, a couple machines on the other side. Got this bleach softener soap dispenser. $1.25 for that. And then there are 4 dryers over here. Those are $2 a load. But yeah, 4 dryers, 4 washers. Was busy in here the first week of our stay and then dead the second. So I think when the park is busy, it's not a lot of machines, but low season, it's perfectly adequate. The golf resort that Maverick Ranch RV Park is part of actually has 3 different restaurants. This is one of them. This is the sit-down restaurant, Candelia Cafe. And I had a really nice dinner here with Justin one night. In addition to the 3 restaurants, the Candelia Cafe, the Thirsty Goat, and the pizza place, this RV park and golf resort also has a gas station that has a small convenience store in it. You see there's some groceries. This is the refrigerated section here. It's actually really surprising, the selection here, especially since we're in the middle of the desert. I mean, it's pricey, but, your way out there. And here is kind of the pantry section to give you an idea of the kind of things they stock. More than your normal gas station, although less than a full-service grocery store, but pretty good for how far out you are. And the most important review of all is Ratface's review. Here you see him walking with Justin. There is plenty for him to see and do. Lots of wildlife back here. And the desert shrubbery wasn't what he was used to, but he made the most of it. He's a very, very happy cat. It was difficult at times when the weather got into the hundreds, as it does out here in the desert. But he made the most of it, and he had a pretty good time in the desert. So as I mentioned before, the Maverick Ranch RV Park is actually owned by the Lajitas Golf Resort. And so, you know, as far as nearby attractions, there's the convenience store, there's 3 restaurants I mentioned. There's also the Blackjack's Crossing Golf Course, which is apparently world-renowned. I'm not much of a golfer, but I've heard it is very good. But in addition to that, it is very close to Big Bend National Park and Big Bend State Park, which are both really wonderful. It's also near to the ghost town of Terlingua, which has a bunch of tourist attractions. And also, there is a beautiful drive that is not RV safe, but we took in our Jeep, that goes from Lajitas to Presidio. And it goes through the mountains, through some beautiful scenery right along the Rio Grande. And that in and of itself was a very cool drive. And that's the footage I'm showing you right now, is just part of that beautiful drive. It was many, many miles. Really gorgeous, looks even better in person. But lots of nearby attractions, lots to do. Even though you are in the middle of nowhere, it is beautiful nowhere, interesting nowhere, and a really cool experience. Okay, so you've seen the park. What did I think? Let's talk about the pros and cons. We'll start with the pros. The first pro is a no-brainer. You saw those gorgeous rock formations. The view from our site was so lovely. The second pro is also related to our site. It was huge. We were kind of near the dog park, so we ended up having a site and a half and just the little walking road down there. But wow, giant yard. The third pro was the price. We were really surprised at $60 a night for a full hookup, being that close to Big Bend. We have paid more for less, and things that are close to national parks tend to be a lot pricier. The fourth was the amenities. They were very well maintained. The laundry room, the clubhouse, the pool, everything was really well taken care of. Everything was immaculate. The next pro is that the office workers and the maintenance people were very friendly. The customer service was good. Any problems I had, they were very responsive to. In addition, because it is affiliated with the golf resort, there's a 24-hour access to the hotel staff if you have an issue when the office isn't open. We didn't have to use that, but we were grateful to have that option. Another great feature of this park is the dark sky at night. I'll tell you, they are very serious about this. If you have any bright lights on your camper, any sort of light shows you like to do with it, this is not the park for that. The office staff is very serious about maintaining the dark sky atmosphere and keeping light pollution to a minimum. And if you're into stargazing like we are, it is a huge perk. Another big pro is the wildlife. Oh my goodness, we were right there. We had the roadrunner, the jackrabbit, tons of birds. We were right in the desert. It felt like it. We had these desert roommates, so to speak. Very magical, very unusual. Another big pro is that the RV park guests can use everything affiliated with the Lajitas Golf Resort. So I mentioned the emergency number a little bit earlier, but there's also the whole boardwalk and shop area that has the 3 restaurants. And for example, at the Candelia Cafe, the nice sit-down restaurant, there are peak hours where only resort guests can book and stay. Locals can't do it, people staying outside can't do it. RV park residents can. Another pro is if you are a golfer, I hear the Blackjack Golf Course is excellent and world class. And speaking of the restaurants, we ate at all 3. We ate at the pizza place, we ate at the Thirsty Goat, and we ate at the sit-down restaurant. They were all good. The food wasn't cheap, but we are in the middle of the desert and it was well cooked. The table service that was very friendly. The drinks were phenomenal. I was really surprised the bar did excellent drinks. I had a sotelito that was made of the desert spoon, I believe is the actual plant. Anyway, I'm still thinking about it. It tasted like the desert. Also, there is a gas station nearby. The gas is pricey, but there is gas that close, which is convenient. But even more so, they have that grocery store. It's expensive, it's a limited supply, but you are so far out of the way, it's nice to have any option really, if you have forgotten something. And they also have really good breakfast burritos. We got them one morning, so they're kind of almost like another restaurant. And finally, probably the reason most people are out there is that you are really close to Big Bend National Park and Big Bend State Park. There's also that beautiful drive along the Rio Grande to Presidio. It's very cool. The location is like nothing else. Okay, so that's a lot of pros. Let's talk about the cons. There's only a few. The first con is power outages. So this is very standard for this area of West Texas, especially when it's windy. It was windy when we were there. The desert winds wreak havoc on power lines. And there aren't that many people out there, so the infrastructure can get a little dicey. We had several power outages while we were there. And the actual hotel for the golf resort has a generator, but the RV park does not. A lot of the RVs obviously have their own generators. We did, but we ended up using our battery backup. We have a power bank set up that we were able to use until the power came back on. And we also had the generator available if we needed that. We never actually needed to run it, but it's something to bear in mind if you're not set up at all to be without power for a little while, you know, either via generator or battery backup or solar or any of that stuff. You might find it a little stressful to stay here. Like I said, we were here for 2 weeks. I think we had either 3 or 4 power outages. Power always came back on eventually, and only one time was really uncomfortable with the heat of the day. Most of the time, it wasn't too bad, but something to bear in mind. Another con is that there is no shade at this park. It's just hardly a surprise. You're in the desert. It takes a lot of water to water trees, and a lot of the trees in this high desert area do not like to grow there. Our AC actually died during our stay. We were able to repair it, but that coupled with the power outages meant that we had kind of a dicey time, and I will be doing video more on that, what happened, how bad it got, and how we repaired it. But suffice to say, it's something to consider. No shade, the heat, the power outages. It was spicy for us. Thankfully, Justin's very handy. We figured it out. But if you weren't resourceful and if you didn't have some backup systems, it could be difficult. And finally, the final con is also kind of a pro, but you're very isolated. So if anything goes wrong, if you need supplies, it can be more stressful than normal figuring out your situation. That said, it is also part of why it's so relaxing to be at the park. Anyway, taking all the pros and cons together, the bottom line is that it was a wonderful place for us to go and get away from it all for 2 weeks and to see Big Bend National Park, which was also very gorgeous and not crowded and lovely. And in a lot of ways, we got to experience the Wild West while still being in relative comfort, even if there were a few infrastructure-related adventures along the way. I will say that after 2 weeks of being out in the country and dealing with all that, we were ready to return to civilization, but it was one of the most amazing things we've done. Really glad we did it, and it was worth every penny. Anyway, thanks for watching, and thanks for any likes, any subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.